Hey everyone, I'm Josh, and in this video I want to talk about how to handle breakups and rejection, because I've noticed that there are some pretty common methods people use that aren't really that healthy or even that helpful. Things like when people say they'll never find someone better than me, or they really weren't all that great, which is okay for coping, I guess, but really isn't all that helpful in the long run. Because, in some cases we can actually be lying to ourselves when we say those things. And sometimes, even if they're true, it can reveal that there are issues within ourselves. Like, if that person really wasn't that great, why did we pursue them? Why did we go after them? Like, that's not good. We should hopefully be better at picking the people we pursue. So if we're constantly going after people who aren't great, and afterwards we're like, okay, that was a good thing because this person wasn't a fit for my life. Well, now that reflects on us and our decision making because we're choosing the wrong people. We need to get better at who we pick. And then when you say they'll never find someone like me, is that really true? I mean, rather often I see people say this when they're using it as a way to cope and try to help themselves feel better, which it's all right in that regard. But sometimes it can just be objectively false. It could be us lying to ourselves. And I don't really think it's that helpful to lie to ourselves as a way of coping with reality. Instead, it's far more beneficial to be objective and to not even really play those stupid games of, oh, they could never find someone like me, because if they actually can, then that's not a useful coping mechanism, because sometimes it may be admitting that we haven't done enough inner work to truly be an irreplaceable person. And even if you are irreplaceable, well, if they can't find anyone like you, is that all that helpful to say? Because now you're kind of saying that you hope that their life doesn't really get any better because they missed out on you. I mean, I would hope that you're good enough at choosing people that you actually really like something about them. So when things end, it shouldn't just be like this whole you wish them poorly and you hope that their life isn't as great because they missed out on you and you're some catch and now their life is going to objectively suck because they'll never find someone like you. It shouldn't really be that way. More so, a healthier way to deal with breakups or rejection is to realize that you like that person, you chose them for a reason, and it sucks that things are ending with them, but you're hoping that in the future things will go well for them and that things will go well for you too. It's just more so a matter of you guys at some point either really weren't that great of fits for each other, or you ended up drifting apart, and that's okay. That happens, right? Like, I've hit a point where now whenever things don't work out with a woman, I'm sad because I liked her. I wouldn't have been dating her otherwise, because if I don't see a future with her, I'm not going to spend any more time on her. So usually if I'm going on more than 3 dates with a woman and things end up ending with her, I'll be bummed because I was hoping that things would go the distance. So when they don't, I don't immediately take that stupid stance of, oh, I'm better than her, she'll never find someone like me or anything like that. And I don't start thinking, oh, she's horrible either. And I've even at times had friends like try to help cheer me up by saying those things. And I often will just tell them, hey, I appreciate it, but please don't say that because I really liked her. Like, I don't need you telling me, oh, she's not that great or you're better than her. Like, that doesn't help at all because I liked her and now she's out of my life. It sucks. So instead, just deal with it in a healthy way by acknowledging your feelings, knowing that, yeah, it doesn't feel that great, and that's okay. You don't need to try to immediately sweep those feelings under the rug by coping in stupid ways, like using those unhelpful mindsets I've already said about thinking you're better than them and whatnot, or that they weren't that great. That's just not that helpful. So instead, just come back to reality. Acknowledge the way that you're feeling. It is okay to not feel so great. You don't need to immediately try to escape those feelings. Just sit in them for a bit. Don't act on them. Like, don't do anything stupid. Don't immediately reach out to an ex or something, because there's usually a reason why things don't work out, even if it's not the worst thing in the world and you think that there's like a sliver of a chance of getting back with them. If things didn't work out the first time, that happened for a reason. So it probably isn't all that wise to try to go back to them. Instead, just know you and that other person had this glimmer of hope that there was going to be something between you. And for whatever reason, that turned out to not be the case. That's okay. It's something you should just acknowledge and sit in it, be okay with it. Don't act on those emotions and just allow yourself to feel them for a tiny period of time. You don't want to wallow in your emotions either. Don't start doing that thing where you never get up out of bed and you're eating a ton of ice cream trying to cope with it. No, just acknowledge your feelings. Say, hey, this doesn't feel great. That's okay. It's okay to feel that way. It's okay to feel that way for even like a week or more. Now, if it starts being prolonged, maybe that isn't all that great. At that point, you're going to want to start reaching out to support around you and maybe even seeking therapy, because it shouldn't take you super long to get over someone. But really, it's just helpful to be objective, to acknowledge that, yeah, you really like that person. Otherwise, you wouldn't have chosen them. And if you did choose someone who wasn't all that great, it probably will be a bit easier to move on from that, because then you can acknowledge you made a mistake, and hopefully going forward, you'll be able to pick people better. But in those cases where you did actually choose them well with the information you had and things just didn't work out, because there's always more information we lack in the moment where we make those decisions, and that will always be the case. There's no way to avoid that. None of us are omniscient, right? So sometimes that happens. But if you made the right move with the information you had at the time, don't beat yourself up over it. You don't even need to go back to those prior coping mindsets that aren't helpful. Instead, just acknowledge it. Say, I like that person at the moment I picked them, and it sucks that things didn't work out with them, but maybe this happened for a reason. Maybe they weren't the right partner for me long term, and that's okay. Again, it's just something where if you acknowledge that and you're okay with it and you're honest with yourself, it can help you get over it a lot quicker. Because that doesn't really mean wallowing in it and feeling horrible all the time. It just means that you knew that you did what you could at the time and you made the right choices. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. It's not really on you. It's not really on the other person either. It's just one of those things. We made the right decisions with the information we had, and we turned out to be wrong. That's okay. It's not something you need to beat yourself up over. So hopefully by now you kind of get the gist of what I'm driving at here, which is it's okay for things to not work out with people that you liked, for a breakup to happen, for them to reject you. It's fine. Now, if anything, it shouldn't mean that you should start attacking yourself and feeling worse about yourself over it, because again, that's not helpful. And sometimes people may leave us because they think they found someone better, or they think that we're not quite what they're looking for. Again, that's okay as well. That's one human being. That's one person. Now, if this happens with every single person you date, yeah, that could be a problem. That could mean that you need to do more inner work. But if it happens with one person, why are you going to let one person dictate your self-esteem, your self-worth? They're just one freaking person. Like, everybody wants different things. If I played that game, my God, by now I would have like zero self-esteem. So don't even do it. Just know that, hey, everyone is different. There will be people who will like you for who you are, especially if you constantly are working on yourself. So take solace in that. You don't need to let one instance, one dating partner or relationship dictate your self-esteem. It's just not a helpful way to go. And come on, you've spent way too much time working on yourself and building yourself up to let one person have the power to dismantle that. It's just not helpful. So don't engage in that dumb behavior. So really, your goal is just to be objective and honest with yourself, to allow yourself to feel everything that you're going through, but not act on it, not make any rash decisions. And then just see things as they are and be okay with that, and know that this happens in life. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that you're a not so great person or that you'll never find love. It doesn't mean any of those things. Sometimes life just happens, right? We think that we're making the right choice and it turns out to be wrong, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that we suck, and it doesn't mean that they suck. It just means we're not meant to be together. That's okay. It's a good thing usually, because you don't want to spend a prolonged period of time on the wrong person. If they're not the right fit for you and you're looking for a life partner, then you want things to end as soon as possible so that you can now spend more time trying to find the right person for you, right? You shouldn't want to stay with someone who's a bad fit for you. So if things end, that's good. You want them to end, and you want them to end sooner rather than later in those instances, again, so that you can save your time, because you can never get more of it, right? Once your time is lost, you can't go back and get more of it. You can't go back and make different decisions. It's done and over with, and your life keeps going forward. And we don't even know how much time we get. We could get 80 years, we could get less than that. So you want things to end as soon as possible to save your precious time, the one resource you can't get more of. That's the way you should be thinking. You shouldn't immediately be thinking that you suck and you'll never be loved and that everything is horrible and that they're better than you, or whatever other not so helpful ways of thinking like that. Just not useful. So try not to think that. But anyway, I hope that the mindset shifts I've shared in this video have been helpful to you, because this is pretty much how I handle rejection and breakups. I mean, as I said before, I try not to engage in those unhelpful ways of thinking, like thinking, oh, she wasn't great, or I'm way better than her, she'll never find someone else like me. That could be complete BS. Maybe the next guy she dates is like 10 times better than me. You never know. It's just not helpful to think in those dumb ways. And I also don't start beating myself up and thinking that I suck and I'll never be loved, because that's not true either. Like, I've met so many different women, and some of them really loved and enjoyed the time that they spent with me, and others were like, you're not quite what I'm looking for. That's okay, right? It's all an individual basis. Your whole goal is just to find someone who will like you for who you are, someone where you won't feel a need to pretend to be someone else, someone who will make you feel comfortable to just be you. That's the goal. So rejection and breakups help get you closer to that goal, because they weed out the people who aren't going to meet that criteria for you. There you go. That's the way you want to view rejection and breakups. They're not the end of the world. It's basically just life sifting out the wrong people so that eventually you can hopefully find the people that are meant for you. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this video. I truly hope you enjoyed it, and if so, feel free to leave a like on it for the algorithm. Also, subscribe if you aren't already for more content like this. I've got coaching calls offered below for my website, also donation links if you feel that my content has been helpful and you'd like to give it back to me. And that's pretty much everything. I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci!